And we are going over the Barack Obama investigation, aka the Russian hoax, aka Crossfire Hurricane, right? And we know this was all done to make Trump look bad before the public so he would be unelectable and just to ruin him, okay? And to also use him because they both had Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama both had something that they wanted to use Trump as a cover up for. Okay, and you're gonna understand what I said in a few seconds. But first, let me just go through these few pages, right, so you can get to where I am. Now, this is page 8, right, and you can come back and you see the in the address bar. You can read the whole file. It's very interesting. They have all type of exhibits at the bottom and pictures. It's just really funny. We'll get to that part or whatever, right? But it says here on page 5 here, we'll go past that because it's redacted. Adversaries with intent section we would prefer for the first sentence regarding Russia's intent to be softened. The way it currently reads, it would indicate that we have definite information that Russia does intend to disrupt our elections, and we are uncomfortable making that assessment at this point because they hadn't concocted the scheme yet. We would suggest editing the sentence to read as the following chart change is highlighted. We judge Russia to be the only nation state with the current means and possible motivation to use cyber attack to disrupt the 2016 election or deny political legitimacy to U.S. presidential candidates. We would also suggest editing the title of that section to instead read something along the lines of evaluation of likely adversaries so that it doesn't mislead the reader to believe that the IC currently has information indicating Russia has a known intent to influence the election. So they hadn't concocted it yet. So they didn't want to get ahead of themselves and put the wrong statement out and then somebody just come and bust them right there in the act. Then all their plotting and scheming in the background would have been ruined. We believe it is worth nothing that in an extremely close race, it is certainly possible that a very targeted cyber aimed attack at manipulating votes could lead, this is just a bunch of bullshit, could lead to a change to legitimate results and affect the outcome. I don't even want to finish any more of this because basically what they're trying to say is, oh, well, Russia's meddling online and them using influencers could potentially ruin the election. Okay, so this was just a crock of crap. Okay, and that's what they're trying to surmise in the second paragraph. But the first one, I just wanted you to understand that this is when they were trying to draft the statements out and carefully keep the narrative undercover in which they were creating the crossfire hurricane. Okay, so we got that part, and this is on page 8. And this is like the process of dissemination. This is how we find out who the information got given to and how they did it. So let's read this briefly. D and I and folks in the NIC just had a VTC about the IC report on Russian election meddling that POTUS tasked us to do, meaning President Obama tasked them to do this report and have this meeting. I wanted to make sure you were up to date on the rollout plan as best I can synthesize it based on multiple incomplete and notional conversations. In other words, this is just a starting point. So this is the drafting process, right? It says right now we are planning 3 versions of the report. Now, why the hell do you need 3 versions of the report, right? 2 were bullshit and 1 probably has the truth in it. A high classified version, a low classified version, and an unclassified version. Lord, the reason for a low class version is that the high class version may contain some operationally sensitive details not appropriate for the Congress. So all the bullshit, the lies, and the shenanigans, and maybe some notes from President Barack Obama at the time might have been in that. So they had to limit it and minimize it for Congress eyes, which is unprofessional and it's probably illegal. They're probably not supposed to be doing. That's probably not proper protocol. If something needs to be exposed to Congress, then they should have a meeting. Why are you breaking it down and keeping certain things to them? So that lets us know that everybody wasn't involved, which is good, right? But this is good. But you do know that President Barack Obama is hands on because he's tasking people to do certain things. So here they go. They break it down by the dates down here. They have the third high class report is delivered to the White House. Okay. This is the drafting of the Crossfire Hurricane. The third and the fourth notional. These are the branches of government, or branches that are given government authority, and they're briefing POTUS, the president at that time, on the high class report. That's the one with everything in it. The third and the fourth January, these are the branches that, are given power. They briefing the president again on the high class report, right? And the other people here, and they're still working on the modalities of the PE briefing. But the feeling is we should brief the P after POTUS. So whatever P through E is, I'm not, really sure or well versed on that. But whoever P through E is, they wanted to talk to them directly after they talked to the president. Then you have the fourth and the sixth. They were trying to figure out which version should they give. Should they just give them the low class version? Should they because they were briefing also the Gang of Eight. The Gang of Eight also got a report as well. And so they were trying to figure out, do they give the same version to all of Congress, or do they just give the Gang of Eight the low class version as well? So this is the drafting. This is them putting it together. That's why this part was important. You're going to hear a little bit more about this as time goes on, right? And this is just to show that President Barack Obama was hands on, involved in this plot using President Trump. Or actually, I'll get to that at the end. Let's just get through this. This is page 82. This report responds to the president's request for a comprehensive assessment of the Russian government's intention and actions with respect to recent U.S. elections. The main body of the report was drafted by CIA, FBI, and NSA and draws on information collected and disseminated by those three agencies. It covers Moscow's use of cyber tools and media campaigns and its motivations and intentions to influence the U.S. public opinion. Now, some of those things have come out already. We know about it or whatever, but how could that really influence us when we are Americans living here in America? We know what we went through under the presidency of Barack Obama. We know who the Clintons are and what, some of us have suffered under through their leadership. So we didn't need Russia to tell us anything. We've heard other countries complaining about the Clintons and destabilization and, the situation in Haiti and different things like that. Like, so, we had enough. But okay, they want to say, hey, Russia is trying to influence, and they did some meddling and they found some videos, and all of that is in this report. It's a very detailed, very interesting report. You can go down and you see the exhibits, the some of the YouTube content that they were talking about and the creators that they were talking about are in this exhibit. But the rest of us, they just call trolls. Like myself, I'm just a troll. I'm a troll, and anybody else who was in support of Trump, you're just a troll. And we are somehow Russian motivated or whatever, even though I've never been to Russia and I can't say I really know any Russians, you know? But anyway, this report is a downgraded version of the more sensitive assessment that has been provided to recipients approved by the president. Approved by the president. So I brought this page up to show you again, to strengthen, my belief that he definitely was hands on throughout this. Okay? And Miss Garbon's belief, which is way more powerful than mine because she did all the hard work that it took to get this together. But I also, on my previous channel, I brought up the Crossfire Hurricane before, because it was a crock of crap then, and it still is. So moving right along, the point that I wanted to make about Hillary Clinton, she knew all along that Vladimir Putin had a bone to pick with her, and I did content on this like about 8 years ago. Miss Clinton knew that Putin was angry at her because she went over there doing what she did. And they talk about that a little bit here, and I'm going to get to that. We assess with the high confidence that Russia President Vladimir Putin ordered an influence campaign by summer 2016 aimed at the U.S. presidential election. The consistent goals of which were to undermine public faith in the U.S. democratic process, denigrate Secretary Clinton, and harm her electability and potential presidency. We further assess Putin and the Russian government developed a clear preference for President-elect Trump. When Moscow assessed later in the year that Secretary Clinton was likely to win the election, its influence campaign then focused on undermining her expected presidency. We also assess Putin and the Russian government aspired to help President-elect Trump's election chances when possibly by discrediting Secretary Clinton and publicly contrasting her unfavorably to him. Okay, now that's just some bullshit right there. Now, did we need that? Did we need Russia to compare and contrast Hillary and Trump? Have we not been through the three strikes and the crime bill, the super predators? She's the Goldwater girl. Have we not been through all that? We know very well who the Clintons are. The people of Haiti can't stand the Clinton family. They cannot stand them. For their own reasons. They cannot stand the Clinton family. So there's enough people around the world, plus things to what she's done here at home, that pissed off enough people that we didn't need Russia to interfere with anything. But this is what she did to use Trump. She used Trump as a way to say, oh, well, it's his fault. He's teaming up with Russia and they're all against me and they're trying to make me look bad when she didn't. Nobody, if Putin had never did the campaign that they now have found out that he was involved in, even if he didn't do that, people here were already viewing her unfavorably. It had nothing to do with Russia, but she used Trump, and this was wrong. This was wrong in the way she used him. But here to verify what I'm saying in the video that I did 8 years ago that people didn't care about, it says Putin believed the Panama Papers disclosed the Olympic doping scandal. You remember that? Where U.S. directed efforts to defame Russia, judging from and his public comments suggesting he sought to use disclosures to discredit the image of the United States and cast it as hypocritical. Remember back then when they disqualified the Russian guy from the Olympics, they said he was doping up and all of that. Yes, Putin was mad behind that. But here's when he was really pissed. Putin most likely wanted his intelligence services to discredit Secretary Clinton because he has blamed her, since 2011 for inciting mass protests against his regime in late 2011 when he was running for prime minister again or president, whatever, and early 2012, and holds a grudge for comments he almost certainly saw as disparaging him, judging from press reporting. Given this, we assess with high confidence that the GRU was directed to pass material that collected to WikiLeaks and other intermediaries. Yeah, those emails. Yeah, that's why he did it. But it had nothing to do with President Trump having any type of relationship, any type of connection, nothing. She just used Trump, knowing all along she went over there meddling in his election, started a protest up. And after that protest started, she went to the oligarchs and started, saying disparaging things and expressing her dissent about Vladimir Putin to the oligarchs over there in Russia. And so that's why he was mad at her. And this is why she used Trump. She knew all along why they were going at her, why Putin was going at her. It wasn't to help Trump or boost Trump at all. But they lied. She lied. And that's her part. And what responsibility and accountability does she have for her lyingness? But let's end the video. Well, we're not going to end the video, but I just want to end with, just some commentary. Just give you a little bit more commentary, in my opinion, a little bit more, and then we're going to end it. So yeah, it's like I was saying, Hillary Clinton, she knew that Putin was targeting her based on her interference in his election, and he was upset about, the doping story that had came out that disqualified, the Russian athlete from playing or whatever, but mostly about that election because Hillary Clinton went over there bad mouthing him. And see, Obama, he was upset because President Trump, he knew if he won, he was going to overturn all of his policies. And Barack Obama, former President Obama, was worrying about his legacy. If President Trump came in and tore up all those executive orders and got rid of everything that he done, that was it. The way he looks at it is he has no legacy. There's nothing left. There's no legislation there for him to thrive off of. And he was worried about that. And he was so worried, he let his fear consume him so drastically that he decided to come up with this plan and conspire with other people to do Crossfire Hurricane. Now, the thing is going to be for him, are they going to look at him as just a regular president and say, no, well, he was the president of America, United States of America. We are not going to prosecute him in this manner. He might be disgraced in some type of way or whatever like that, but we are not going to throw him in prison. Or are they going to look at him as the African Kenyan and white president? Because we have yet to have an American Negro as president. We've had a Kenyan Caucasian president. Okay, so how are they going to look at him? How are they going to judge him? Are they going to say, well, he's not, he's un-American and we can't grant him the same values that we would have, the Watergate thing, even though this is way deeper than Watergate, y'all. This is really bad. This is the president actually sitting down conspiring with other, you know, branches of government or, authoritative power branches of government, or however you want to say that, conspiring against a newly elected Donald J. Trump. And it's disgraceful. You wouldn't want any president, whether it's a Democrat, you wouldn't want Republicans to have the power to sit back and conspire against someone in this manner. And I remember 8 years ago, I said this is a stupid name when I did the commentary. I was like, this is a dumbass name, Crossfire Hurricane. I was making fun of it. But when I thought about it, I said, yeah, it makes perfect sense, right? A crossfire. You think crossfire, you're right there, right? You're the target right there in the middle. And then I rain a hurricane of innuendos and false rumors and stories about you. And that's what they did. They put President Trump in a crossfire and they hurricaned a whole bunch of bullshit. It was Hoey Daniels, and on and on and on. The Russia obstruction, or a whole crock of bull crap. And that's what we got and all the time. And he's still fighting off, I believe, some of this stuff. They still every now and then try to bring up Russia. Even though they have all the evidence of what Russia has done, they still try to incorporate a lot of us Negroes into this Russia thing, as if Russia's paying us anything. We don't need Russia to tell us anything about our own individual and personal experiences and community experiences as a whole. We didn't need Russia to tell us anything. Okay, we have our family members who live these nightmares under some of these politicians. We don't need any outside sources to tell us anything. But it's disgraceful, and we will see what is going to become of former President Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, James Comey, and potentially others. You know, this is what happens when you conspire or whatever. Like, be fair. Play to win, but be fair. And don't get involved in stuff like this. Just play it straight. At times people may have to lie during politics, but going this far to try to destroy somebody, try to destroy somebody's whole life and, try to knock President Trump down before he even had the chance. That's wrong. They were all on him before he even had a chance. But I'm glad he overcame everything he went through. I can't wait till they come to New York. I'm in the NYC. I can't wait because it's just dangerous. It's unsafe. It's a lot going on, and I'll be happy when they make their way to us. But I'm glad that President Trump has afforded California some form of peace, dealing with sanctuary and other cities. In Chicago, they're getting theirs right now. And I hope they get what they want because they have been asking for years, since like the late 60s and 70s, for help. And I'm glad that they're getting it. I don't care what any naysayers say. I'm glad that the people are getting help out there. And I hope it remains that way for them in California as well. And Memphis as well. You got a lot of hard-working people out there, and they should be able to enjoy the fruits of their labor, and they should be able to have a good time. So yeah. MAGA is not going anywhere. We are not falling apart, despite the rumors, despite everybody wanting everybody to fall apart. Even if the name changes, there are those of us who will always be united in country. Some of us are just coming to that conclusion, and some of us have always, we've always been there. We've been raised that way, and it's not going to fall. Even if the name changes, it's always going to be America first. Okay, so we have to stay tuned and see what the outcome will be. I'm Man Eater 38, and I'm gone.